Hey everybody, it's Katie. Today I want to talk about preparing your body for pregnancy. I know that in the early stages of pregnancy, it's like, what's going to happen? My stomach? Like, what is this going to look like? And so today I want to talk about a few things that worked really well for me and kind of also give some encouragement and share some stories about my two very different pregnancies in terms of what my body did. So the first thing that I want to share is if you are currently trying to conceive or if you're very early in your pregnancy, my first suggestion is to find a prenatal vitamin. Now, before I had my first daughter, I talked to an MD that I was seeing for something unrelated, and I told him that I wanted to try to conceive, and my husband and I were talking about that, and I said, is it too early to start taking a prenatal vitamin? And he said, no. Actually do it a few months in advance, because then you've got these terrific stores in your body of what these vitamins are giving you. You have it kind of stored up in your body, and so when you do get pregnant, all of a sudden you have this new little life from conception that's going to start requiring maybe more than you have or what your body usually makes or whatever. Of course, he said it very smartly and eloquently. But anyway, point is, find a good prenatal vitamin. That in these days could look like a liquid, it could look like a gummy, or it could look like, if you're really brave and awesome, one of those horse pills that's like that big. I'm kidding, like that big. I've tried all three, and with my first pregnancy, I realized that very soon into my first pregnancy, I realized I couldn't swallow the traditional like vitamin style horse pills, the big ones. I felt like they got stuck kind of about right here, and then for the rest of the day I would be getting this drip of like vitamin taste. Now, whether or not that's accurate or I was just kind of pregnant imagining things, I don't know, but it made me queasy. So I talked to my OB and I told her what was going on, and she said no problem. She said they have gummies out there, you can do the gummies. And so I brought her my bottle and she said, this is how many I want you to take. Actually, the gummies that I gave her were not prenatal gummies. They were just regular vitamin gummies, but she looked at them, and this was, believe it or not, this is so crazy, this was actually before they had the prenatal gummies, which seems to kind of be a stock these days. But anyway, point is, the gummies worked great for me. And then I have also done a liquid prenatal vitamin. That's a little bit more expensive, and you have to keep it refrigerated. It's a little less convenient, but if the gummies and the larger vitamin style just don't work for you, you can mix that into a smoothie, you can drink it straight, whatever. I've found a few that I enjoyed, and so I've done all of them, and I would have to say that the gummies and the liquid were probably my favorite. Another thing that I want to share in reference to vitamins and something to consider is, the story behind it is that after having some blood work done, my OB told me, your iron stores are a little bit low, and that's one of the things that we really want to have like on top notch, because when you deliver your baby, if there's blood loss, we need you to be in a healthy place. And so I tried the liquid iron supplement, and it was so horrible. I don't know if it's because I had pregnancy taste or what, but it was awful. And so I talked to her about kind of being a little bit worried about it, and she had a kind of a funny analogy or a funny thing that stuck with me that I want to share. And I was talking to her about, whether or not the baby is going to get enough of the vitamin, and is the baby going to get enough iron, and I was worried about the baby. And she kind of laughed and she said, it's not the baby you need to be worried about. It's not the baby we're worried about necessarily. She said, because the baby is going to come first. It's like on the airplane when the gas mask comes down, baby gets it first, and then you get it. So what she's saying is that the baby will take what it needs before you get what you need. And so really you should be concerned, am I getting enough for myself? Because if you're taking the gummies or an iron supplement, the first dibs goes to baby. Your body is not your own during pregnancy, that's for sure. Everything in you is designed to build life and build healthy life and sustain this little baby that you're growing inside of you. So don't worry so much maybe about your baby, but make sure you take care of you too. The next thing that I would like to encourage you to do during your early states of pregnancy is to drink a lot of water. and fluids, but kind of be careful about what fluids you're drinking. Now, I know that you hear this, it's like, drink lots of water, and if you're like me, it's like, yeah, cool, I'll drink water. I was and still am a water drinker, but it kind of starts to get a little cumbersome, and especially when you have to pee every like 4 minutes, you're like, really, I need to drink more water? I'm peeing out the world here. But you do need to drink water. It'll help with your skin. It helps keep your amniotic fluid, like, I don't know what the technical term is, but like refreshed. And if you have good fluids in your body, your amniotic fluid is constantly recycling. So you want to have water in your body. After a while, it gets a little cumbersome, so I have 2 fun things that I have found that I wanted to suggest to you. And number one is like, I don't know what it's called, but we'll have some information in the description below, but it's basically an encouragement water bottle. And I wish they had one of these with my first baby when I was pregnant, because I think I probably would have really enjoyed it. But it's basically a water bottle, and it has a time frame, and it has ounces drank. So it's like, at 8 a.m. you fill your water bottle to the top line, and then the next one down, maybe 10 a.m. and you've had 8 ounces, and then 12 you've had another 8. And so it basically encourages you to drink X amount of water until noon, and then at the bottom it says, good job, now do it again. So then you refill it, and then it goes from noon until like 4, and whoever did that was smart, because you don't want to be drinking a bunch of water after too late, because you pee all night. I mean, we already have to pee all night, right? And then at the end, it's like, good job, you did it. And so you have successfully drank, X amount of water, and it was in this fun little water bottle, and it kind of helps remind you. So that's awesome and very fun. And then the other little tip that I wanted to share with you, and it's actually something I'm currently doing right now, because I am still nursing occasionally, though I know it's not much that she's getting. But when I don't drink enough water, I feel dried out. So I've been forcing myself to drink more water than I probably would in general. And so what I've been doing, because I'm really tired of the taste of water right now, and my first step was to put lemon or lime in my water, and then I got tired of that. So something that I've been doing, which I actually really like, is I have a really pretty glass water bottle with a plastic or a not disposable straw. It was a gift. And so what I do is I put a little tiny bit of I don't use refined sugar, because I get sugar spikes. I get like that, lots of energy, and then I kind of crash. And so I use either liquid stevia, or I use a powdered or like a granular Truvia, both of which are not refined. And so I mix it with a little bit of warm water to get it all mixed up, and then I do ice, and then I squeeze about half a lemon or half a lime in there, and then I put my water in. And the sweet is not to make it a sweet drink. That's not the point. The point is just to make it taste a little bit more like a lemonade. Just kind of to take that edge of it's just water, kind of take that off a little bit. And it actually works. It inspires me to drink more water, because I like the taste of it more than just plain water. So it's a little tip. The next thing I want to talk about is moisturizing your body. Now, I happen to know that there are probably people out there. In fact, one of my very dear friends is a person who just doesn't use a whole lot of lotion. And coming from someone who's used lotion her entire life, maybe that had to do with growing up in Alaska, in the interior where it's really dry. I don't know, but I've used lotion pretty much my whole life for everything. She hasn't. So I know that there are people out there who don't. But another suggestion would be to consider doing, to moisturize your body. Obviously, you could do your face if you want, but I'm talking more about around your tummy. Now, I have read and I have heard that the whole like coconut butter and shea butter and all that stuff is it's an old wives' tale, and it isn't going to prevent stretch marks and all that. My thought behind that is maybe not. I don't know. I've heard that it's actually more genetic as far as stretch marks go. And I don't know. I don't know if moisturizing actually truly helps in the long run, but from my experience, and also I would say I would rather just do the lotion, and if it helps, yay, and if it doesn't, well, whatever. But in my experience, especially with my first pregnancy, towards the end, as I was carrying around like a house, my stomach was itchy and uncomfortable, and it didn't feel good to be in my skin. And I And that was especially so if I hadn't moisturized or if I hadn't put something on my tummy for the day. So you may ask, well, what did you use? So there were a few things that I used. I like the Body Shop has like a really thick a line of creams. I liked that. I also sometimes just used vitamin E oil or jojoba oil. And then something that I found recently that I really like is a product by Gold Clover, and it's beef tallow. So if you have objections to animal stuff, then this might not be for you. However, this is grass-fed and grass-finished beef tallow, and it has, sometimes it'll have an essential oil in it, but very few additives, and it's actually been amazing for my skin and it works for a lot of different things, but especially with feeling kind of itchy tummy or stretch marks. And from the 2 pregnancies, I actually only walked away with a few stretch marks. So I've been putting this Gold Clover on the stretch marks, and I feel like it helps quite a bit. So those are some of the things that I used with success and kind of helped me from feeling like I was going to split out of my stomach and a baby was going to walk out and feel like I was going to scratch myself to death. So those were things that helped. The last thing I want to talk about today in preparing your body for baby is weight gain. Now I want you to hear my heart in this, and that is simply just as some encouragement and a suggestion. I have had both pregnancies. One, I will tell you that it was over 50 pounds. I actually stopped weighing myself and told the midwives that if they wanted to know how much I weighed, they had to come in because I wasn't going to look at the scale anymore because I was so overwhelmed and frustrated and just upset. So that was the first pregnancy. To the second pregnancy where I gained about 27 pounds. So I have a little bit of experience in both, and I want to share with you how much easier my second pregnancy felt, largely in terms of weight gain. I think that it's probably no secret that the more you weigh, the harder things become. It becomes more difficult to go up and down stairs. It becomes more difficult to do tasks that you didn't have a problem with before, simply because you're carrying around extra weight. Now with my first baby, as I mentioned, the 50 plus pounds, I just felt, I was, for my frame and for myself, I was heavy. I just felt heavy, and I got tired a lot easier, and my skin felt just super stretched and dry and uncomfortable, hence the part about the moisturizing. I did that a lot because of how uncomfortable I felt. I retained a lot of fluid at the end, so I had swollen ankles and swollen fingers, and my face was puffy, and some of that I understand. I mean, if you retain fluid, I don't personally know of anything you can do about that. I sometimes I think it just is what it is. But I can tell you the one thing that you do have control over is what you eat, how often you eat, and the way you take care of yourself in that regard. And I remember the whole saying, oh, well, you're eating for 2 now. And it was mostly people my grandmother's age that were telling me that, or like my great aunts were like, oh, we'll have some more, you're eating for 2. And while that might feel like permission to go ahead and gorge yourself, and don't get me wrong, there were plenty of times that I gorged myself with both pregnancies. I usually regretted it later, but that's not to say that you can't indulge, but what I am here to tell you is that's actually not accurate, and it's probably not healthy to eat for 2. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I do know from reading and from talking to my 2 very different OBs that we actually only need to consume, I want to say it's between 200 to 400 extra calories per day for our baby. So this whole eating for 2, and you're supposed to have, I don't even know how many calories you're supposed to have a day, but that's like 2,000 to 3,000 calories a day. Nope. I mean, that's weight gain right there for sure, and some of it's unnecessary. So if you are concerned and you want to make sure that you're feeding your baby properly, definitely talk to your OB. But the old adage, eating for 2, I would say is probably not correct. All right, guys, so we have a Facebook page. I don't know if you have visited us, but we would love for you to check us out in that area. Leave a comment and say hi. I do a lot of sharing and of things that I think are interesting, so we would love to have you check in with us and say hello. Also, if you like our video, we would love for you to give it a like, and also I would be honored if you would consider sharing it. If there's someone in your life that you think would benefit from this information, or who's newly pregnant and kind of like, we would love for you to share that. And I'd also like to invite you to become a subscriber. If you are not already, you can join our tribe of mamas and papas. And so we do a video every week, and it's usually based around families and babies and kind of what's happening in our lives in regards to that right now. So we'd love for you to join us. One last thing, if you have a comment or if you have any thoughts about today's video, I would love for you to leave it down below. I love interacting with people that are part of our large family community. That's really special for me. So I hope you guys have a great day and a great rest of your week. Hopefully we'll see you next week for our next video, and hope you all are doing wonderfully well. Bye.